It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And we got to talking about Colin Gray, the dad of Colt Gray, the 14-year-old who was charged for shooting up the school. Yeah, killing 2 adults, 2 children, and 8 others injured. Well, dad is the one who bought him the rifle and the ammunition for Christmas, even after he was told that there was something wrong with Colin up here. After he was told that Colin had been putting a word out that he was going to shoot up the school. After he saw Colin in his room putting pictures up of the mass shooter, yeah, he bought him this gun and he took it to school and he killed some people and injured others, where they're charging him because they said if it were not for him actually purchasing and putting in the hands of Colt, he wouldn't have done that. Was he where he was supposed to be as a dad? We talk about the dozens of students as well as families who were put out of a Long Island City homeless shelter and moved for no apparent reason but because they needed to convert that homeless shelter into a men's homeless shelter. They felt that the men needed the shelter more than the families. Didn't matter that they were displaced, didn't matter that it was in the middle of the school year. None of those important things mattered. And we had to ask the question again. Is this administration doing what it's supposed to do? Is the people that are in place to make sure that these families have stability, these children have stability, are they doing what they're supposed to do? And it took us into our church folk question. Are we as Christians doing what we're supposed to do? Is the church doing what they're supposed to do? And the resounding answer is no. Not with this verse that's looming over our head. If my people who are called by my name would just humble themselves and turn from their wicked and evil ways, that I would hear their prayer and then I would heal the land. Why isn't this land healed? Why are we still suffering? Why are our children still suffering? What is going on that we have not gotten this thing together? The call on the world, the call of the order is not on this world, because the world is being governed by the prince of the world, the enemy, the devil. So there's nowhere in the world that God is relying on them or him to do whatever it is that he needs to do. No, it is those of us who are called by his name, those of us who claim that we know God, that Jesus is the center of our joy, that Jesus is the head of our life, that we got this thing all together. Then we need to act like it. Why can't we seem to get ourselves together? Are we doing what we're supposed to do? And the resounding answer is no way. Because if we were, this world would be better. So, we really got to get our ducks in a row. Stop doing things the way we want to do it. For the last few weeks, we've been talking about, what can we do better? How can we fix us? Well, the only way we can fix us is if we go to the Lord. Yeah, that's the only way we can get this thing together. We can't do it alone. We have never been able to do it alone. It wasn't designed that we do it alone. Nope. It is designed that we go to God and make sure we give our lives, our entire lives to Him. All of us. That's why I'm saying lives. We only got one life each. So if each person gave God his life, then we would be fixed. We would be healed. We're walking around with a whole lot of brokenness, with a whole lot of anger, with a whole lot of disappointment, with a whole lot of confusion, because we can't seem to figure out what exactly is going on. Why is this world so messed up? Well, God's people are not lending the hand that they need to lend. We can't even get together. Like I said yesterday, they trying to figure out whether women should be pastors or not. How are you ahead of a congregation? Most of your congregation are women, and you are telling these women that they are capped because you say that the Bible says that we should not go any further. Right there, you done messed up this world. Right there, you done messed up this land. Right there, you done messed up the psyche of how many families when you put a cap on God's people. I belong to God. I do not belong to you. So while you're so busy worrying about how high I go, the rest of the land is all messed up because you are not merging with me. You are not working with me to get this job done. And until we work together, because I don't care how big your church is, I don't care how powerful you feel your people are, you cannot do this job alone. We must work together to get this thing done. Ain't no man an island. God did not design us individually to work by ourselves and get it done. It is not going to happen. So we're looking around at a very much fallen world. It's going to stay that way until we get it together. We must get it together. And that's what we were talking about yesterday. Are we doing what we're supposed to do? If everyone zeroed in on their responsibility, man, would we be better? Yes. And when I say better, I mean we. When I say better, I mean we. I don't mean Stephanie. I mean we. So let's get this together, everybody. Come on. Let's continue to focus on God. For those of you, do not grow weary in well-doing. Just continue to focus on God. And maybe if we work hard enough and we do this thing right, we can now just go and grab one or two others, and those two grab one or two others, and then we can just help this thing kind of spread. And when we look up, things will be the way God has designed them to be. That's how we spent our Tuesday. Well, today is Wow Wednesday, everybody. Oh, we made it by the grace of God. We are halfway through the week. So we about to get this party started. We're going to get our girlfriend Viv on here, and she's going to give us her socially conscious segment. And boy, oh boy, I can't wait for what she's got. Well, go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that it's due time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back.
Before hospitals, before white coats, and before modern medicine, black women delivered the South. They didn't just help. They saved lives. White lives, black lives, entire generations. They were called granny midwives, but they were doctors, nurses, and healers, and without permission. From the 1700s through the early 1900s, before hospitals reached rural America, in some southern counties they delivered nearly every child born. Their knowledge didn't come from books. It came from Africa. carried across the ocean in chains. On plantations, enslaved women were forced to deliver babies by candlelight, sometimes hours after working the fields, still carrying blood, sweat, and herbs in their hands. When white women went into labor, they called black hands, because those hands knew how to save them. They trusted black women with birth, but not with freedom. When medicine became profitable, the system changed. Hospitals couldn't profit from women who worked by trust, not invoices. Licensing laws didn't improve care. They erased competition. Black midwives were pushed out, replaced, and written out of history. Today, black women are 3 times more likely to die in childbirth, in a system that once relied on them, and forgot what listening to black women once saved. They didn't just deliver babies. They carried the South into existence. History remembers the powerful. Histora remembers the forgotten.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Wow Wednesday. Amen. By the grace of God, we have already covered the first half of the week, and we about to go into our second half of the week, and I am so happy to be here with you. If you're in the room, let me know, because I'm going to get my shout out on this morning, and the only way I know you're out there is if you give Pastor Steph a shout out. Hey, good morning, Kitty girl. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Lane. She said, it's my birthday. Well, good morning and happy birthday. We got a check-in from Majesty. Yo, where you been, my brother? It's good to see you in the room. We got a check-in from our girl, Lady Tamika. I'm hoping to see you on the other side of this screen. We got a check-in from our Pastor Kim. Hey, Pastor Kim. Thank you so much for joining us and stopping by this morning. Hey, King Terrence is in the room. Good morning, Your Highness. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Maximum Effort. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, we've got our Evans from Kenya. Checking you out. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, my son. We got, let's see. We got why am I stuck here? Oh, I am at the end. All right, good morning. Well, we can't go any further unless we say good morning to the ladies that hold us down each and every morning. And thank you so much for keeping us humming and running. Our girl Shantice, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Anika, for helping to hold us down. Anika gave us a shout out. And we got our boy Serge in the house. Good morning, Serge. Good morning. I don't know if Miss Grace is checking us out yet, but good morning. If you are on, don't want to leave you out. Thank you so much for joining us and hoping you're doing well this morning. Well, we were able to get our good mornings on before we got our girl Vivian on, so we could do things the right way this morning, because she ain't shivering out there. Let's say good morning to our girlfriend Viv. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well, thank you. I'm well to see you sitting on a toaster inside. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. What you got for us today?
All right, today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with a quick FYI for all of our drivers out there. New York City, if you didn't know, had temporarily suspended alternate side parking regulations since the snowstorm. And as of yet, they have not put them back into effect. But they're saying that was only because of the need for snow removal It should have been put back in place this week, but there were some holidays like President's Day, Lunar New Year, and Ash Wednesday taking place this week. So FYI, the suspension ends Thursday at midnight. Again, normal alternate side enforcement will resume 12 a.m. Thursdays with tickets reinstated for non-compliance. So if you have been taking advantage of the suspension, be ready tonight to make sure you're parking on the right side of the street, or else you might wake up to a ticket. Next, we have an 83-year-old man who lost his life after a fire tore through an apartment building in Elmhurst, Queens. When FDNY crews arrived, they were met with intense flames and heavy smoke, but their job was immediately made harder. They say the nearest hydrant was blocked by a parked vehicle, and the next hydrant in the area was frozen, forcing firefighters to search for a workable water source while the fire continued to grow. Firefighters eventually were able to get inside and rush the victim to the hospital, but unfortunately, he passed away from his injuries. Officials say situations like this show why hydrant parking laws exist in the first place. A car left in the wrong spot for convenience for the driver can steal critical minutes from first responders. In a fire, minutes are often the difference between rescue and tragedy. And right now they are saying they don't know who the driver is. There's no arrest being made. As of right now, there's nothing in the news about that, but they're saying that only means that this story is still ongoing, because they will find out who the car belonged to. They're saying in New York City, parking in front of a hydrant normally brings a ticket, but when it interferes with an emergency, the situation can escalate. The FDNY has already begun issuing criminal summonses in cases where blocked hydrants delay firefighters, with drivers required to appear in court and facing fines that have ranged from about $2,500 to $4,000. Because of incidents like this one, lawmakers are now even proposing stronger penalties, including potential negligence liability when injury or death occurs. So please, please, please make sure that you are not one of these people. Who knows, this 83-year-old man could have, still been here today had that car not been parked in front of the hydrant. But next we have our New York City mayor, who says property taxes might be going up if the state doesn't agree to raise taxes on wealthy people and big companies. They're saying the city has a big budget shortfall, and this increase could be a backup plan to make up for the missing money and keep city services running. But of course, they are saying and warning that if property taxes rise, that means landlords will most likely pass the cost on to renters, which could mean higher rent for everyday residents and an economy that is already stretched very thin. Supporters say the goal is to make the rich pay more, while critics say regular New Yorkers could still end up paying the price. And then we have an update on the nurses' strike we've been following. Last we heard, nurses went back to work at least 2 hospitals, while another was still waiting on a resolution. Now there's a new development connected to that same staffing issue that was a part of the strike. They're saying nurses at New York Presbyterian were awarded about $399,000 after an investigation found that New York Presbyterian did not always have enough nurses on certain units, which could affect patient care. This backs up what the nurses were protesting about during the strike. They're saying the money isn't going to be divided into checks for every nurse who walked out. Instead, it's meant to fix or make up for the unsafe staffing conditions for the specific units that were involved. Reports say that there was a similar situation to this one years ago, and the remedy they came up with back then was to give nurses 3 extra paid vacation days. So we will see how they decide to handle this current situation. And what this shows is that even though the strike has ended, the fight over safe staffing and other working conditions is still playing out. And now we have our wow story of the week. If you have not heard the sad news that Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away yesterday, February 17th, at the age of 84 years old. If you don't know, Reverend Jesse Jackson is responsible for more than marches and speeches. After working alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he spent decades pushing corporations and government to open opportunities for Black Americans and underserved communities. His pressure campaigns helped lead to minority hiring programs, supplier diversity contracts, and the inclusion of Black families and businesses in mainstream advertising and media. He also ran historic presidential campaigns in the 1980s that expanded Black voter participation nationwide. And he negotiated the release of American hostages overseas when the police were not allowed to get involved. Much of what we now consider normal representation and access in workplace businesses space came after the doors that Reverend Jesse Jackson pushed open. So when you see a Black model on your screen, when you see a Black model on a poster at a store, it is in part thanks to Reverend Jesse Jackson. And yes, we know, if you know, you know, that there are controversies tied to his name over the years, but none of these controversies over the decades should erase his civil rights work, advocacy, and opportunities he helped create for generations that came after him. So let's keep his family and loved ones lifted in prayer as they prepare for his funeral services and mourn his passing. And as a community, we should honor him, not just with our words, but by using the opportunities he fought so hard to open up for us. So we're giving a great big thank you to Reverend Jesse Jackson for his work. And yeah, let's just keep his family lifted in prayer. But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wow stories you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian BM. And come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers and listeners. And thank you, Pastor Steph.
Thank you, Viv. Thank you. We got some goodies on the table this morning. Something to talk about. We got a check-in from Miss Charlene. Hey, Miss Charlene. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Well, let's get these ladies up on this screen. And we got Vivian with us this morning. Hey, girl. Miss you from the round table. So let's get your sisters in the house. Let's say good morning to Lady Tamika. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I am well. Thank you.
Good. You must be toasty. Your arms are out. Am I looking right?
My arms are always out due to the flashes of summer that I have during the winter.
All righty. And let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Good morning.
I was about to say, why y'all
listen to this here?
I'm like, why they look like spring just hit? And I'm feeling like it's January 1st. What's happening? Is my iron that low?
Oh my goodness gracious. Boy, have you given a definition to contrast. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, we got to check in from our girl Teresa. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we're going to get started with this incident out in Elmhurst where this 80-year-old man lost his life in a fire. And one of the possibilities to this loss could have been that when the FDNY arrived to this blazing fire in this building, they met with the closest fire hydrant actually being blocked by a car. The next closest fire hydrant was actually frozen. And they are reminding us that hydrants need to be left wide open. Remember, you're supposed to get that 15 feet from the fire hydrant when you park, and that it can steal critical minutes and prevent us from being saved if that's what's going on. Now, normally they say that, you get like a normal ticket of $2,500 to $4,000 if you are blocking a hydrant. But when there is a life involved or injuries involved that they are seriously considering upping that ante, if you are responsible for that liability, whether it's injury or death, they coming for you, and they're coming for you with real charges. So we have Terrence, who has said, let me get his quote correctly, they can't blame that car for that guy dying. Maybe if they had a system to clean the streets, because you could see the snow in the picture, and they normally break the windows and put the holes through it. All righty. Lady Tamika, what have you got to say about not only the news story, but what Terrence has got to say?
I clearly don't agree. And not even just for snow. There are neighborhoods. I can only speak about the borough that I live in. There are neighborhoods right here in Brooklyn where people will either double park or park by hydrant, thinking that, okay, fine, no problem. And they don't even come to check on their car. They're so used to doing it. You get off of work, maybe you work at night, and I'm sorry that you work at night, but there are other people. I remember one time we were kind of sandwiched in between this car that was double parked and then a car that was by the hydrant. We couldn't get out, and we honked. We, went to neighborhood buildings to try and see if there was somebody, maybe in a hospital or, nearby, and we had a doctor's appointment to go to. We're talking about health, and that's one situation. We're talking about somebody dying. Without a shadow of a doubt that you shouldn't be parked there. It's one thing if you're going to be there, parked there for a couple of seconds, you're going into a store to go get something and go back out, but you parked your park and gone, and better. There have been plenty of times. We live on a small block. There's a hydrant literally right up the street, which wouldn't be beneficial for us, but we parked 3 and 4 blocks away to ensure that that's not going to be an incident. And you parking your car and leaving it, you cost somebody their life. I always talk about the babysitter. Somebody's got to be the babysitter. And unfortunately, in this situation, we had none. You walked away, you left your car, and now someone is no longer living. due to your negligence. I'm sure there had to be someplace, or sit in your car. We've had to do that. We've sit in the car for hours until we find a parking space. Do the right thing.
All righty. It is a call to do the right thing. All right, Shantice, what have you got to say about this this situation here, as well as Terrence's comment?
This was real. I mean, again, unfortunately, in the Black and brown community, these rules don't mean nothing. It's like, I know why you're telling me not to park here, but do you not see that there's nowhere else to park on my block? So shut up, leave me alone, because I'm gonna park here. And on my block, the hydrant is just like a perfect place to, kind of fake park, double park real quick. If there's no parking, they easily just take that spot like it's nothing. They go, okay, you know what? When all else fails, park at the hydrant. So there's never going to be a fire, ever. Like that's what you're banking on. So unfortunately, the fact that there was no other parking due to snow or anything does not give you carte blanche to now park here, because now look at what happened. If a firefighter had to take 30 seconds to get you to move your car, that was an extra 30 seconds. Someone could have been inhaling smoke. Somebody could have been, taken out of a window from off a ladder. Like, there's so many things that could have happened that could have helped save someone's life in 30. Right. You know how long 30 seconds is in rescuing time? Like, that's a long time. So unfortunately, not having anywhere else to park is not an excuse for you breaking the law. That is breaking the traffic law. We're not supposed to be parking there. In our culture, we say it's okay to do it. That don't mean that that's the rule. We are in the habit of making our own rules and then redefining the laws and the rules, and then getting mad when they don't follow our rules. It's like, sir, you do realize that this is a law, right? Like, what are you talking about? So unfortunately, I agree with Lady Tamika. I don't agree. Terrence, that makes no sense. And hopefully this guy gets, now someone lost their life because you didn't want to sleep in your car, but you couldn't find parking. It happens. That comes along with having a car. You don't want to look for parking, drive. That's one of the things I don't miss about having a car. I ain't got to keep circling the block every single day looking for parking. There's certain things you don't have to worry about. So if you don't want that headache, then don't own a vehicle.
All righty. We got a check-in from Miss Herlima. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. And we have an official check-in from Miss Grace. Good morning, Miss Grace. Happy that you're able to check in with us. All righty, Viv, as a driver, what say you about the article post and Mr. Terrence?
Well, first, I need to correct myself. They're saying that a standard ticket for parking in front of a hydrant is $115.
Okay. So
the amount that I gave before is if something like this were to happen, now you're facing fines of $2,500 or $4,000. Now, in terms of Terrence's comment, I do not agree. And in terms of this article, from what I saw in the picture, they cleaned around the hydrant for a time such as this. So the other hydrant being frozen, that's different. Maybe they, it was clean, the snow was removed from around it, and then they found out, unfortunately, the water inside of it was frozen. That has nothing to do with the fact that whoever's car this belonged to prevented them from getting to this man sooner. That was the closest fire hydrant to the building that was on fire. Right. So yes, he is responsible in part for this man's death. And they should have broken through his windows in order to get to that fire hydrant. And I think that when they find this person, they need to really face some criminal charges because somebody lost their lives because of your inconsideration. I think that it shouldn't be no fine. It should be jail time.
Absolutely. Oh, okay. So I'm thinking about this comment, and I'm with Shanti. I'm with all of you ladies, but my thought went with Shanti's. If it took them 10 extra seconds to break your window, okay. So let's go with why you need to park 15 feet on either side of this fire hydrant. Now we know that a truck is much bigger than 15 feet. So that's not even a parking space literally for the truck, but at least it allows them to just pull up, access the fire hydrant, and now do and take care of business. So we had one night, it was in the middle of the night, I'll never forget, and all we heard, move your effing car, move your effing car. We heard this over like a speaker, like a blaring thing. Went to the window, lo and behold, in the next block, the block behind us, there was a fire. There were fire trucks up there, but they needed to access the one a block away. And lo and behold, there was a car parked there. And they're honking and they're screaming in this thing. Everybody, move your effing car, move it. Now, time. This is time. I'm sorry. This is time. This is time on somebody's life for them to come through this block. And now they are honking. Move your effing car. It just had to be like 2 o'clock in the morning. Move your effing car. Move your effing car. Do you know how many times they had to make that announcement? You know why? Because the person whose car it was in a basement apartment. So they probably may not have heard it. They may not have heard it when they were first honking. This is critical time here. I'm sorry. I don't care anything about their alternative routes. You're absolutely right. I'm with Viv. There shouldn't have been no talking. Wouldn't have been when we were honking, we would have been breaking through. However, based on even where the vehicle is, you can't get to the hydrant. Do y'all realize you still can't get to the hydrant? You can't get to the hole to put the thing on. You may be able to get to the top of the hydrant, but you can't. They couldn't get to the pipe part to put that hose on. So now you possibly have somebody dying. And we're a block away from where the fire was actually going on. They needed access like they needed the one here. Now, interestingly enough, because of this cold weather, the one that was next accessible was frozen. Who would have anticipated that?
Right.
So now you have two issues going on. One that you can't anticipate and one that you could. The bottom line is there are rules in place for me. And here's the funny part. Have I not for the past month been arguing with you people about stop complaining about the rules? And I'm not necessarily saying, Terrence, you're complaining about the rule. But what I'm saying is these are the people, like you ladies have said, where people have used the hydrant as a parking because you don't have a place to park. I'm with Shantice. Don't drive. I never understood why people who, like in Upper Manhattan, why are you buying a car? Ain't no parking there.
Ever.
I'm not sitting in my car for hours waiting for a parking spot. No, that's all right. Maybe I'll move first, then get the car, or just do public transportation, Ubers and Lyfts, and make it happen. But this here, I think we need to just be reminded that every single second is critical for this access. We really should not be expecting these people to come through and have to do anything else other than pull up, access this hose to this fire hydrant and move on. So listen, whether there's critical injuries or life Viv, that should be the $2,500 off the rip. It shouldn't be no $150 and then if there's something, because see, if I hit you with that $2,500 to $4,000, you ain't gonna do that no more. You're not gonna do that no more. That's not gonna happen. So I think let's get this together, y'all. Let's make sure we park and do what we need to do. You might have to give up that car if things are that bad, or stop visiting these people, because the one who was here, he didn't live here.
Wow.
He didn't live here. No, he didn't. He doesn't live here. It just happened to be the house next door to me. And when he came up out the basement, I'm like, well, who are you? You don't even live there. So now you blocking where you visiting. Yo, you out of control. Out of control. All right, talk about out of control. We've got the New York City Mayor, Mom Donnie, alerting those who have homes and buildings that there may be a property tax increase if they do not offset the holes that they need to fill to the rich and to the building people who own, these businesses rather. And property taxes may go to the local homes, or it may go to the landlords of the buildings, and somebody's going to eat that, which means that if the landlord has to pay the property tax, guess what? The tenant will have to pay. So this is going to affect, everybody who is not rich or a business. And, this was one of his selling points when he was running, that he would, try to hit us, the rich people with offsetting these opposed to the little people. Shantice, what say you?
Well, I think this is something that has been secretly and blatantly a plan for a long while now, regardless of who's been in that seat. Let's increase the taxes so that this class of people or this environment or this arena can benefit from that extra income, those extra funds. And of course, for you to now tax on top of taxing the poor and middle class, the backlash you're going to get from that is just going to be like ridiculous. So of course you're going to aim for the rich, the wealthy, tax them. I mean, it makes sense to me. From what I remember, anytime I hear about anything like this in politics, they're mainly coming for the poor middle class, or let's raise their taxes, and the rich and wealthy benefit. Never understood how that worked. Never quite understood that. So to hear it go like this, it's like, oh, okay, well, we just prayerfully the funds will go where it's actually needed and not somewhere where someone just thinks, oh, we should use it like this. Then it's just like, all right, you might as well just let the people money alone.
Okay. Vivian, increasing property taxes for the poor and not the rich.
I say just get ready to pay your extra rent, because they have been talking about this for I don't know how long, and it always lands on the poor and the middle class. So just go ahead, get your marching shoes on so you can be out there protesting, and or get your funds ready to pay the extra rent, because history proves that it's going to be on us.
Lady Tamika, let me hear what you got to say, because I'm wondering if, as a homeowner, you going to say what I'm saying.
Little Johnny has $20. I'm like, we all went to school and they gave us those problems. If there's a debt and little Johnny has $20 and I have $5, who's going to pay the debt? $5 people, not the 20. Make that make sense, and as a homeowner, like we're just this year, I'm trying to figure out how my property taxes went from this to that already. And my house didn't change. There's no more people in my house. I'm still making the same amount of money. What is it that changed to the degree that my property taxes already went up? And now you're telling me that in the midst of that, You're going to put things up again. Now, in the house that I still own, I don't have a tenant. But the house that I currently live in, I have a tenant. And we have not raised her rent at all. But you're going to charge me again. So, like, make that make sense. So I'm the $20 person you're going to avoid. But I mean, literally, let's put it this way. I'm the $5 person that you're taking from. So welcome to New York City, where the rich get richer and the poor go.
Absolutely. I was waiting for you to say just that. We got a check-in from Desmond. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. All right, so transparency moment. You know, every year you get assessed. If your insurance and your taxes are escrowed, you're assessed. And what they do is they project for the following year what they're going to have to take out. And they've got to make sure you've got that money there, because the mortgage company is not paying your taxes and your insurance. Well, when I got my assessment, I am now paying $230 more for the next year. And I thought my head was going to fall off, because I'm like, just like Tamika, I'm like, well, I ain't moved. They ain't come through here and did a thing. What in the world are we talking about? How did I get here? And, you know, for a quick minute, I forgot that was, because at first you don't see, you know, it just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. When you're looking at this thing, your head is just doing all kinds of things, because remember now, your salary, your income is not moving. All you're seeing is starting X, Y, and Z. You're gonna have to pay this. Now, by all means, it could actually go backwards as well, you know. But the reason why I said I knew Tamika would have something to say about this is because the reason why I ate a $230 increase was because the property taxes had increased along with my insurance. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm hearing that I will get, because like Viv said, they no ifs, no ands, or buts about this thing. They not eating, the rich are not eating this. We're gonna eat this. So now you about to tell me I'm gonna get another property tax increase based on what? Whatever these holes are in the bucket. I have not made these holes. So why am I now eating the holes? How come this is you or you? I'm sorry. We've already eaten it. So now it should automatically go to them. Well, why are we trying to figure out who to give it to? Well, like Tamika said, if Johnny only got 5 and you got 11, why are we giving it to Johnny who ain't got but 5? You got 11. Give it to you automatically. So, you know, it's a sad state of affair, because like Viv said, and like you ladies have said, you ain't got no other choice here. Like I said, they didn't write me and say, Stephanie, would you like the increase? Right. I got the assessment and they told me because I had to match what they were going to have to send out because of the increase. So now I'm hearing we're going to get another increase. That's highway robbery. For those of you who pay rent, yeah, welcome to the party, because that's exactly where it's going. The landlords are going to eat it, and I'm going to tell you something. They're not eating it alone. You're going to eat that thing. So, you know what? We definitely, you know, if you don't have God and God going to stretch some pennies, you might as well go ahead and roll over and die, because that this here, you don't have any say so over this. And it's sad, because we really don't have any say so. You just got to eat whatever it is that you got to eat. Now, I'm kind of glad that Vivian is still on, because my note taking wasn't as quick on this next item. Nurses, We know two sets of nurses went back. Mount Sinai and Montefiore went back, but Presbyterian nurses were still hanging out on the picket line because they had, additional issues that they felt were not resolved. Well, Vivian, I'm sure my note taking is erroneous right now, so please take the time to give us that update, and it's on you.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you.
Let me pull it back up. All right, so they're saying that, and so a New York Presbyterian, they were awarded $399,000 because after an investigation, they found that the claims that the nurses were making about the staff shortages and the unsafe staffing conditions were actually true. And now they're trying to figure out, and it was only in certain units of the New York Presbyterian Hospital. So now they're trying to figure out how they're going to compensate these nurses in these particular units for having to deal with the short staffing issues and what they're going to do about this $399,000.
All righty. What say you, Vivian?
Well, like I said in the story, they said when this happened before, they gave the nurses 3 extra vacation days. And I think that's bogus. So now I'm making this claim. I had to stand out in the cold for how many weeks were they on strike? I think
it was like 5 weeks.
Yeah, like over a month they were on strike in this cold weather, making these claims only for y'all to say, yes, they're right, this was happening. I think it needs to be more than just some extra days in your vacation. They need to compensate these ladies financially, and they need to figure out what they're going to do about this going forward. So yes, now you're saying my claims are right, but if this is an ongoing thing, because I'm telling you this is happening, you finally see that I was telling the truth, and then we have other situations in the past where this has happened. What are we going to do to keep this from happening? That's what we need to figure out. Not just saying, oh, yes, investigation proves that they were telling the truth and it's almost $4,000 worth of money. Okay, but how are we going to prevent this from happening in the future? That's the biggest thing.
Right. Lady Tamika, what say you?
There's always a way to get away with what you should be doing. I think about that. They did their due diligence. They've been there. They're telling you, hey, we've got shortages. We got nurses working overtime, hard work. And you don't pay them for all that they do. You figure out, you fix it. Okay, we found out what you said was 100% true. And how do we resolve it? 3 extra days off. You don't want to give them any more resources, or you'll say, well, we're not going to pay you extra. What we'll do is to compensate you. You can get some time off, as opposed to giving them what they're due. This is the whole purpose of them doing what they've been telling you. Out in and when we say it was brick out there, those were brutal days when they were out there. They really meant, your fingers, you could frostbite in minutes, and they were out there protesting, trying to tell you, I told you. So again, we've been saying the whole entire time, give these people their money. They work so hard, tireless hours, and their demeanor, oh my gosh, their demeanor when things are going on. I'm sitting there with an eyebrow raised like, boy, if that was me. But it's not, and they're so mild-mannered, and so they have such a wonderful bedside manner, considering that there's chaos. They're trained to ensure the safety of other individuals while chaos is going on, and they're sitting there, la, 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 and you're going, oh my God, there's chaos back there. But you would not know it unless you were in the scene. Please give these people, these hardworking people, the money that they do. Stop trying to shortchange. That's why they've been a month. of trying to tell you, I told you, and now you still want to shortchange them. This is why they've been going through what they're going through.
Absolutely. Shantice.
I felt the same way. It's like you're not even throwing a bone. It's not even a whole bone. This is like a little gristle part. It comes on the chicken. You're like, okay, here. Like, get on in here and take these vitals. It's like, again, I always felt, even without having to hear before I really understood what they were asking for, really heard in detail as far as what they were asking for nurses to strike. For nurses to strike. Because anyone who's a nurse goes into that field, goes into that position, understanding the care that it takes, the patience that it takes, the long hours that it takes, the endurance and all of that it takes to be a sufficient nurse. So for them to strike meant that there was really some injustice. Like, they put in requests, petitions, and everything's been ignored. And now you push them to the point where they feel like they have to now band together and do this. And you're talking about you're giving them what? So when that wears out, then what? We're now faced with another strike? Because I don't hear you doing anything that would even last the remaining of 2026. I see this wearing out before the spring hit. And spring is March 20th. We're already February 18th. You know, it's like, what are you really doing? And again, for the money that was, okay, so we have $500,000 now extra or to spare, or after, going over and itemizing, we see we have this amount of checks, you're only getting this. That is like such an insult. It's such. And again, for people who are not actually doing the job, it's nothing for them to make these type of negotiations, because you're not doing the day-to-day. You the one that sit up there and just look at the numbers. So as long as the numbers make you comfortable, you could care less about what's going on the bottom. That's the bottom to them. So it's sad. I see this wearing out, and God forbid there's another strike soon. But I don't really see there being anything offered that would prevent that.
Okay. Terrence says, for them to get awarded over $300,000 and only give 3 extra days and not share that more is wild. I'm in a complete agreement with Terrence and the ladies. To me, one thing has nothing to do with the other. Well, what are we talking about here? They were on the picket line for a series of issues. If you found what they said to be true, okay, now what? So, exactly what you all have said, it just kind of stands true. And, y'all need to get yourselves together, because you have a series of people who love what they do, and they're doing the job, and they are on the line, not just for them, but for their clients. And fix this, giving them 3 extra days like they have done in the past or anything similar is bogus, and you have weaseled out of your responsibility. And again, I'm with them from before. Where's Kathy Hochul to step in and to ensure that these 3 sets of nurses go back to work the way they should and meet the needs of these people? Come on. There's no other set of people in this world that we need to take care of than the nurses. Because
if you were able to get these traveling nurses to come in and fill in when they were on strike, why can't you get the same traveling nurses to come in and work so that there's no shortage of staff?
Right.
Because that was always temporary.
But that means you have the resources, you have the people available. If you could pull them in for this crisis, then you could pull them in on a regular basis, and then they won't have to be worrying about no $399,000.
Right.
Because y'all had them working in unsafe staffing conditions.
Right.
You're going to still have an issue. Because if you're a traveling nurse and you're in another state, you could cause detriment because each area is different. So I got to go over here. If you're a traveling nurse, then you need to be familiar with that setting. And in a lot of cases, you may not be, which causes issues to the patient, especially if it's something that's time sensitive.
Yeah, when you are a traveling nurse, your contract is for 13 weeks, 3 months, up to 3 months. And because I know a few traveling nurses. So you sign a contract and it's for that amount of time. And then you move on if you don't like it, or if they don't offer you, something that you really, that you're okay with. So now, again, like you said, they have the resources. So now put this stuff into place.
Right.
Plain simple as that. I don't even want to begin to see the internal workings when the new people came in and old people were already gone. Can you imagine? Think about all of you coming on a job where there was nobody to train you, really. You had to go in that job and you had to just go by the seat of your pants with what you know. And like Lady Tamika has said, you ain't familiar with this stuff. That was the first thing I thought about when they said, oh, we got nurses from where? Where you getting nurses from? These people don't know. They don't know the layout of the land. So, boy, this must have been some kind of organized chaos. And
that's why. No, say sorry. That's why they don't want to bring them in permanently, because that means I have obligations to you. When you're temporary, I don't have, but my obligations to you is real minute.
Yeah, it's based on how long that contract is.
Right. When we now start talking permanent, now you in the same position as those that's out there picketing. I don't want that situation. So even if it means that I gotta hire you for 3 months, fire you for 3 months, rehire you for 3 months, fire. But if I have to have you on permanently, now that just changes the whole ball game for me, because now your expectations are going to broaden. I don't want to fulfill no bigger expectations because I want to continue to shoot you as a temp. Think about those who have temp jobs. When you work for a temp agency, your expectations are non-existent, because I could be working at Macy's today, I could be in an office job tomorrow, I could be on a construction site Wednesday. You don't really owe me anything. And my whole thing is just what I can do to get money in my pocket for today. Am I somewhere where I can make money today? But now you start talking about something permanent, that changes the whole outline of what the employers have to do for the employees and what the employees are expected to do for the employers. So that's not really a surprise as to why they haven't pulled in the temporary traveling people, because they trying to get around having to hold obligations to the day ones out there holding up signs.
Yeah, and when you talk about, why not hire the permanent people? Remember, like they said, there's no obligation, but remember, all the benefits don't exist.
Right.
Different set of benefits. So I don't have to worry about you really caring that these things exist over here, because you ain't gonna care. Exactly. I'm trying to stay out of giving you benefits, which is going to cost me a whole lot more money. That look at the benefits they had in one of those hospitals. There was complete health benefits. There were no deductibles, no co-pays. There were, can you imagine, for those of us who have to pay for health insurance, how sweet that is? Yo! You eating up all my they get free pharmacy stuff. Yeah, you ain't gotta worry about nothing. And I'm like, wow, that would sure be something to, as a sick person, to really, sit back and enjoy. So now you've got to put up all of this stuff. So no, they trying to do whatever they need to do to maneuver. And that's why I say Kathy Hochul needs to step in. She needs to step in. She needs to step in to mandate that, listen, these need to be, the conditions across the board, period. Not hospital per hospital, and private hospitals don't have to worry about. No, come on, stop it. Give these people what they want, what they so rightly deserve, and just move on to another big problem. All righty, we lost our Jesse Jackson as of yesterday. And, Vivian mentioned a whole list of things that he's done. And, just giving a quick roundtable as to, what this loss really means to this nation. Lady Tamika.
Such a pioneer, and so much history, and the sad part about it is you'll probably only hear, keep hope alive type of thing, The sad part about it is they belittle his tribute and all that he has done. We would not be where we are today, if he had not been there. He's one of many faces, and a lot of times when it comes to us, we might see a face and be standing right amongst, the kings and queens and princes, and we don't know. Unfortunately, we don't do our history and the legacy that he has done. Unfortunately, like I said, they're only we'll talk about just a little catchphrase and never really give him his accolades. The sad part, and I was talking to Al about this recently, I said the sad part about anything like that, we don't do a thing until somebody dies, and now it's like, oh, woe is me, and it's a very, very sad thing. I said, we got so many pioneers now that are still living, that are still pushing, that are still trying to make things happen, and we stand silent. But as soon as they go in the ground, we can barely function.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Shantice.
We just lost one of the only people from that era, that generation, that knew what it was to put in real work, knew what it was to really stand for something and how to put things in action in order to see a positive outcome and to be persistent in that, not just these, one-shot deals so that I can gain followers on social media. They ain't have no social media back then. So everything was a lot more authentic, so to hear of his passing, he, in my opinion, he just reached over age-wise, just reached over that. Yeah, he getting kind of old. He wasn't like older, but he lived a full life, and the contributions that he made to the people of his time, to the generations after him, definitely. Unfortunately, it can't even really be like, oh, well, these men have someone to pioneer behind, because very, very, very few people are paying attention to trailblazers such as Jesse Jackson. However, definitely a staple during the civil rights movement, and to show that change can actually happen, but you have to be the change in order to enforce the change so that it can actually stick. So, yeah, we're definitely... can imagine how this feels with his family, because it's one thing when you lose someone close to you, it's another when that person close to you was so monumental in history, and because it's like that's always in your face. It's like my dad, grandpa, great grandpa, uncle, so and so. It's like, dad, they going, but now the photos are going to be everywhere, speeches are going to be everywhere. They're going to start playing all the episodes he done been on, a different world. Or it's just like, going through that process. So definitely with them in regards to that. But yeah, definitely a trailblazer. Definitely someone that was like, yeah, wow, Jesse Jackson.
All righty. Vivian.
Yeah, I agree with what the ladies have said already. We have definitely lost a big name in our community. But I'm hoping that, that will just push those under him to step up more. Because to hear that he was somebody who worked alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and we're just now losing him. Like, I don't know. For me, it's like you forget that there's still people living today that were a part of that movement back then. So hopefully this will wake some people up to be able to step up and continue on, especially his family members who were close to him or those who work closely with him. Hopefully this will, light that fire under them for them to get up and continue on with the work that he has been doing. But definitely losing a major part of our history and of our community. And it's sad to see him go. I definitely, when I heard that he passed, I wanted to know like things that he has done that affects us today. So to hear that he is partially the reason why we're seeing so many Black faces in these commercials and on these posters, like now you can't go anywhere without seeing our natural hair on a poster. Like they're definitely popping up more. So now that people are aware of what he was doing while he was living, hopefully that will get them inspired to pick up his mantle and keep this work going.
All righty. I want to just read something really quickly. It says on July 16th in 1960, while Jesse Jackson was home from college, he joined 7 other African Americans in a sit-in at Greenville Public Library in Greenville, South Carolina, which is where he's from, which only allowed white people. The group was arrested for disorderly conduct. Jackson's pastor paid their bond. The Greenville News said Dee Dee Wright, another member of the group, later said they wanted to be arrested so it could be a test case. A Greenville City Council closed both the main library and the branch Black people used. The possibility of a lawsuit led to the reopening of both libraries September 19th, also the day after the News printed a letter written by Wright. And I wanted to read that because it kind of goes back to what you ladies have said. We don't have those people in place anymore. Mm-hmm. We don't know that he sat in, on this group. We don't, we didn't know, like Vivian said about the models, now being plastered all over the place. We don't have those people anymore. Right now, everybody want to be liked. They want to be an influencer. These people didn't work so that they didn't call themselves influencers. They just did work. They just moved. They saw the need. They saw the cause. They moved. They weren't afraid to be arrested. They weren't afraid to be reprimanded. They were not afraid to get their name out there negatively because they knew they had a bigger vision. It would now spark something, to think that, he was the first Black man to run for president, really, that everybody knew. And now we had Obama, who it made it a little easier for him to become president because of Jesse Jackson, these things we just don't have anymore. And Shanti said something that I had thought about as well. We forget that there are people, that still are alive. I think it was Vivian maybe said, people are still alive who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King. Oh, they not dead yet. They're still here. And, because of all of these people, we are now social media people. Even this here is because of them. So where we think it's disconnected, it's actually not disconnected. It's all the things that they did. You look at they stood up for the library so that it would be segregated. Now because of social media, we don't even need a library. Right. Because of the World Wide Web, we don't need a library. But look at all the lives that were impacted when we only had a library. And what they did to make sure we did have a library. So, thanks to him. And it would be so nice to see, I kind of opened with that kind of this morning. We need to work together. And they had no problem with working together. This story is 7 other, so 8 of them together. Can we really get 8 Black people together to visit today? That everybody focusing on the same thing? No, because everybody got their own agenda. I'm more important than you. My cause is more important than yours. I mean, come on. I'm looking at a situation right now. It's 3 of us, and we can't even make it work together. So it's thanks be to God for people like Jesse Jackson, and we just pray that it just doesn't die here. It doesn't die here. All right, thank you, ladies, for indulging us in our socially conscious segment. I came across an article that I thought, ended up, didn't even realize it would have just some connection. And it's the things that we are not going to tolerate anymore as Black women. We have gone through what we're going to go through, and each time, we enter into a new year. A lot of people, they have resolution and things like that, a calendar year. Everybody kind of looks behind them. Some people do it on their birthday. But, if we talk about the calendar year, some people use it as a benchmark to say, you know what? I'm moving forward. I'm moving forward differently now. And there's an article that talks about, some of the things that we have done that they're hoping that Black women wake up to and just say no more of. And one of the first things they talked about is glorifying burnout, where it looks good for you to be dragged through this life. I gotta get my grind on, and I gotta make sure I get these goals no matter what. Have we become aware that this burnout should not be glorified, that it's literally ripping us apart in many shapes, forms, and fashions, Lady Tamika?
Boy, you talking to a sister friend. I'm so tired. How tired are you? Who really wants to hear that? You're going through stuff with your spouse, you're going through stuff with your children, you're going through stuff with your job, and we are multifaceted. A lot of times we have our hands in a lot of pots. Think of a stove. We got stuff. You got 4 burners for the most part. Unless you've got a grill, then you've got a 5th one. And you got something in the oven, and you got children running around doing stuff, spouses, whatever, the phone is ringing, and there's other things that you're handling. Sometimes you got to step out of the kitchen to go handle something in the living room, whatever the case. That's us on a daily basis, and when you're burnt out, what people don't realize is when you're burnt out, you don't function effectively. So that means on those areas that you're doing, you're looking at, go over there and look at, you need to stir that. I remember Big Mom used to stand in the back, watch all the stuff going on. Be like, baby, that fire too high over there. Turn that down. Turn that one over there. You don't smell that in the oven. Check it. Turn the light on. Let me see, and you don't function effectively because you're burnt out. And, everybody can see it but you. The person who's going through it. And to glorify burnout literally says that I'm chaotic and I'm okay with being chaotic. Right, and I want you to share the things that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Shantice, they say we need to leave this thought process behind us. We cannot go into a new year functioning the same way.
I thought it was just me. Mm-hmm. I am literally watching someone right now glorify their, I guess it's their version of a burnout. And I'm pushing through despite what happened. And I'm doing this despite what happened. Why everything got to be made public despite what happened? How about fixing what happened so the despites can lessen? Because I'm about tired of hearing this story. And yet, when you glorify the burnout, you're not addressing the things that are quote unquote burning you out. Because now it's just all about focusing on how I look. I'm given this perception as someone who knows how to push through and someone who knows how to do this. And now this opportunity comes to talk about it. Now I can capitalize on this and I can do it. And it's just like, I thought it was just me. I was literally sitting here and I'm like, God, am I reading too much into this? Am I being too like rough. I'm like, but this is how I see it. And long behold, no, yeah, we can't listen. People keep forgetting that other people, who you think you fooling? And I think that's one of the things that annoys me the most. Because it's like people who do that, they really think that no one is catching on to it. But the more you do it, the more it's like you're just putting yourself out there. So you might as well be saying the obvious. So yeah, we have to stop that.
All righty. Vivian, glorifying burnout. We got to put a stop to it. Can't carry that forward.
Yes, and I don't think women are really tying this together. Like they are feeling as though this is strength, that they're doing something. Because I can do this and I have 3 jobs and I'm doing this by myself and I don't need nobody. But that is not the way that it was meant to be. Like, I'm sorry that you have to do this alone for whatever the reason is, but I feel like let's figure out a way to where you can minimize the cost of living so that you don't have to work 3 jobs and do all of this extra stuff because you're trying to maintain this lifestyle that don't need to be maintained. Like, it's okay to have less so that you can be in your house with your family more and you don't have to be so burnt out. But women are to the point to where they feel like they have something to prove. So they're willing to do whatever they need to do, even if that means burning out on a day-to-day basis in order to prove that they're independent. So I love this.
Absolutely.
And on Black History Month, yes. Let's get this together. This is silly. This is silliness.
All righty. I'm kind of caught between who said that this was nice, this was good, and Ketty, who always says, why they so tired?
Right.
They did nothing. And now you tired. You just woke up today and you already tired. You know, I'm caught right there in between looking at those running themselves ragged, making themselves believe they doing something. And those over here who did 2 things and now they need 9 years of rest. I'm trying to figure out how we got there. And I don't know, did I hear it yesterday? Somewhere. Do what God says for you to do. I think if we focus there, we won't be spinning our wheels trying to make ourselves look good when we really... I look at the women today and I'm like, we used to do this stuff with our eyes closed, and we just did it. We didn't talk about it. We just did it. And it wasn't this glorified thing. We just did it. And ladies, just do what God has you to do. You won't be the way the other ladies have described. And let's just leave this mentality. I think it's the mentality behind. You know, if we don't change our mentality, then it's not gonna make a difference. We got to check in from Brother Al now that we about to go to bed. Good morning, Brother Al. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you, Brother Al. Thank you for joining us. We have the next thing on this list, and they're talking about over-explaining boundaries. Why do I have to keep telling you why I'm not doing these things anymore? Shantice.
This over-explaining is about to get me in trouble. So now I'm gonna have to hear the boundaries of the law. Because after I now physically hurt you, because you done verbally wore me out, after you keep trying to test me, because anytime you find yourself having to repeat why you're not doing that, means someone is trying to coerce you into doing it.
Yeah, trying to push you.
Right, they're trying to coerce you into doing it. So you're trying to now get me in trouble. How about I get us in trouble? How about you end up on the other side of what you're trying to convince me? And then now I get labeled as the stereotypical angry Black woman. So no, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. You say it once, you find yourself having to say it again. It's skedaddle, you go. Get away from me before this ends bad. And a lot of times, unfortunately, as Black women, we don't take that out because we think we can say it nice. Listen, stop trying to fool yourself. It's but so many times we can say it nice before it shifts. Okay? So just say it once and do not repeat yourself, because repeating yourself is only going to set yourself up for failure.
All righty. Vivian, they say, it's time to stop over-explaining why you need your space, why you need to say no. Yo, I'm over it already.
I would just say, because I've seen things on social media, especially in Shantice and I's generation, where they're pushing this thing like no is a complete sentence, self-care is not selfish, and like all this type of stuff, and then people just take it way too far. So I would just caution us on that. Like, who says you're over-explaining? Make sure that you explain properly before you get upset talking about I've already said, or I've explained enough, and now my answer is no, and that's enough. Like, make sure you're doing it properly before you get all frustrated talking about I'm over-explaining. So let's start there first, and then we can go to over-explaining is not necessary.
All right, I like that. Oh, you all learning a little something, Viv.
I am.
I actually like that. I like that a lot. Lady Tamika, what say you?
Yeah, I agree, with the ladies, and some of that, is we're trying to be nice. We're trying to accommodate, This is how we get these catchphrases. These catchphrases come from, me trying to be nice and me trying to allow, without literally saying, well, this, these are the parameters. This is the border. This is the boundary. A lot of times we're not clear in all of that. And then what ends up happening is we get to the frustration where I'm doing me. This is where these things, I'm doing me. I said what I said and I meant what I said. All of that comes because I didn't clear. And wait a minute, I said what I said and I meant what I said. Because now your neck is rolling because you're agitated, because you were still trying to be nice, and now you're at the limit. They bringing the kids by. You didn't want them to come by, but you didn't clearly let them know that you don't want. Now you're sitting here with kids that you're agitated. You can't function the way because you're still trying to be nice, as opposed to saying, listen, no, I'm not taking it. And you don't have to give them a reason. That's the sad part. We got to give them a reason for this, and we got to give a reason for that. No, I just want my own sanity. I don't have to tell you why I don't want your kids by. And then we get to the angry Black woman. We're trying not to get there. But because we have not clearly stated what we needed or what we stood by or what we wanted and clearly stand by those boundaries, then, we'll say one thing and then, we'll let them. And now at this point, we're frustrated. That's how we get to where we are.
Absolutely. I like this stuff. I like this. Y'all saying some things this morning. Here's one of my favorite on the list. Doom scrolling as a daily ritual. Please put that behind you. Oh, my. Shantice.
Doom scrolling, you said?
Yes.
Okay, well, as a woman, regardless of your race, if you just find yourself just aimlessly scrolling, you need to evaluate your life. Because that's like just sitting there with the remote, just flicking through channels. Just, what I'm saying? It's just trying to find. And with everything so much more direct on TV now, long ago the days of you having to be home by a certain time to watch a program, everything is at your leisure. You can stream this, you can watch this, even with live TV now, even for those who still have cable. Even with live TV, you can pause, you can rewind, you can go back, you can fast forward, you can do all the stuff, right? So when you find yourself just aimlessly scrolling, that means your mind is blank. Why is your mind blank? You need to hand that question to the Lord, because none of us can afford to have a blank mind. That goes with the verse that says, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary is looking for someone to devour. So now with you just scrolling, now you just open and accessible to any and everything that you come across. So anything that looks tantalizing to the eyes, that's what you're meditating on. Now you go into the person's page. Now you're looking at all that person's posts. Now it's like, no. And people think there's nothing wrong with this. There's something wrong with that. Because you should always have something to do. You don't have something to do, again, you go to the Lord. But as a woman, if you're at the point, and you know what killed me too? Everybody want to be grown until it's time to be grown. You want woman as a title, that means you're quote unquote grown, right? So you need to do grown people stuff. Grown people don't scroll. In the name of Jesus.
All right, so we're gonna say drop the mic right there.
Yeah.
Viv, Al said on your last word, say it well, Viv. So now I'm gonna use that as a launching pad for doom scrolling as a daily ritual. Please leave that behind you.
Yes, we were talking yesterday about like the 40-hour work trap. But if you're properly using the rest of your time, then you won't necessarily have to be trapped in this whole 40-hour system. But if you work in a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever it is, you come home and you do what you need to do to, push yourself, then you ain't really falling into the trap. And it's become just so common in this generation to doom scroll. Like you driving and you're scrolling. So many times I look to Lord, and the people are on their phones while driving.
Oh my gosh! Wow,
habit. How people are just so addicted to these devices that we are just wasting so much time where we could be productive in so many other areas of our lives, but yet we're stuck on these devices. So yes, please, let's make this a thing of the past. We were on some Zoom conference thing, and the young lady just gave so much. How old was she? Like 15 or something like that? 14 years old, and she just gave so much good advice at her young age on how we could properly utilize, our devices and social media and things like that. So if you're not doing that, if what you're doing on your phone is not productive, put it down and find something else to do. Pick up your Bible, find a hobby, go for a walk, stretch, do something. And stop giving all your time to doom scrolling. It's not doing anything to you physically, emotionally, definitely not spiritually and mentally. So let's make this a thing of the past, for real.
This is coming from the millennials, y'all. Wow. All right, Lady Tamika, doom scrolling as a ritual. Say bye-bye.
All right, so love you, Shantice, but I'm gonna pull a you right now. Doom scrolling. For those in my age group or higher, doom scrolling is the compulsive, endless consumption of negative news or social media content, often leading to increased anxiety, depression, and stress. So we're looking at, okay, here we go. I see this all the time on the streets, in the avenues, and Viv was talking about people driving. What about people who are walking?
I was just getting ready to say. Yes.
Sometimes I say to Al, just do a courtesy honk. Scare the mess out of them to let them know you are crossing the street. You don't pay attention at all. And some people, and I'm not just going to say women, but people in general, you start your day. Okay, so I give myself a half an hour of news. It's going to repeat itself anyway. So you only really got a half an hour. I give myself a half an hour because if you stay tuned in like that, there's a lady that I used to know, and she was virtual. She would put all this stuff on the news, and then I would talk to her. Oh my God, did you see such and such? And oh my God, did you see? And and I'm like, before you can start your day. We start at 9 o'clock. At 8:30, she's posting blah, 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 blah. And I know she's anxiety. She's having anxiety because you can't even function with your life because of all of the other stuff that's going on. Listen to the broadcast on a daily basis. We tell you news. You know, if you let that affect you to that degree, you know, and then you start comparing your life to somebody else's, which makes it, oh my, I haven't gotten here, I haven't gotten there. And that takes us back to other topics that we just talked about with regard to us making sure that we're doing the right. Listen, today is do the right thing in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. Amen and amen. I got a couple of minutes. I'm going to let you ladies, I'm going to come off this list and I'm going to let you ladies give me or give us something that you would love to see us as women leave behind. I'm going to come up off this list and just pick your brains. So Vivian, it's on you.
Over-sexualizing ourselves.
Oh,
I think we need to let that be a thing of the past. Why does every woman who, especially in our culture, every woman who want to be famous got to go get BBLs and rapping and singing about sexual things, and that's how you want your legacy to come up? That's what you want to leave behind? Wow. I don't understand it. Now it's getting to the point to where the little ones are even being over-sexualized. We need to let that be a thing of the past. Let's bring back modesty, please. Let's bring back modesty in real music.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Al says, do you know how many people I have almost clipped with my car when I was driving because they were strolling and not paying attention? Absolutely. If you drive, you didn't almost hit somebody. Yep. I don't care what day of the week. I don't care what time of the night. Somebody in their phone. All right. Good stuff, Viv. All right, Lady Tamika, what you got? Things that I would really wish we'd leave behind.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it.
Say it.
Get it done, girl. You know, my thing is, I've seen people, you're working in the kitchen. Get out the kitchen, you go in the living room. You go take care of this. You're supposed to be handling, let's say, vacuuming the living room. So by the end of the day, you were supposed to clean the kitchen, do the bathroom, get dinner done, such and such and such. By the end of the day, dinner's not done. Vacuum cleaner is still sitting in the corner. There's a pile of stuff on the floor. Like, get you a list and handle it. You don't work the whole circle all day long. And what have you done? Get it done.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Shantice, what you got?
We need to leave the ignorance behind. What happened to the women making sure we called for the men to stand up? They can't stand up when we're dumbing ourselves down so that we don't have to be by ourselves or so that we don't have to stand apart. We're supposed to stand apart, you know, whether we're women of God or a woman who, you know, says that she's a non-believer. We're still supposed to be. We can't cultivate if we're not elevated. So if as a girlfriend, as a friend, sorry, because you gotta be friends first. As a friend, as a girlfriend, as a wife, I'm supposed to cultivate you. I cannot cultivate you if I'm helping you look like a bum, if I'm helping you live like a bum, if I'm not looking bummy with you. If I'm not, it's like, no. We have to leave the ignorance behind. I do not remember. I remember being in elementary school. The girls always had the better penmanship. I remember the girls would get the good grades. The girls would always make sure they're groomed. Now you look and you see a man who just looks like garbage, and you like, oh, you got a girl. And you look at her and you like, go figure. It's like, where they do that at? As they ask in the streets. When did this become a trend? that now I don't have to stuff. So you're either on the extreme that Vivian mentioned about over sexualizing, or you just don't care about how you look. Very few women are in the between. So we need to just let go of the ignorance.
Good stuff, ladies. Good stuff. Al says, good stuff, Viv. I think Vivian is trying to get a contract and a raise.
That's what happened when she gets on for a full day. She be acting
Okay. Right. You get them thoughts out. You gotta hit it and quit it. Then you don't get a chance to get nothing done. Oh, good stuff, ladies. Really good. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a good day,
too.
ladies.
Thank you. Oh, so much to close with. So much to close with. Where do you even start? So let me go back to I kind of like to recap our socially conscious segments. So, I think we're still piggybacking off of yesterday's. Are we doing what we are supposed to do? You know, we started off with the man who lost his life, and FDNY had a hard time getting to the fire hydrants. We then talked about the property taxes that's going to be handed down to the low man on the totem pole because they just can't seem to get this together and give it to the ones who really can afford it. We talked about the nurses and administration who is really, really cheating them, opposed to honoring the hard work and the dedication. And we talked about, the losing of Jesse Jackson. It goes back to, are we doing what we're supposed to do? We ended with Jesse Jackson, who did quite a bit, things that we know of and things that we had no idea of. That's one of the reasons why I read the incident about the library. They did something to, segregation was a big thing back in the day. And they did a lot of protesting and fighting so that everybody could, I think Pastor Vinny talked about it yesterday. Yeah, the integrating, he touched on yesterday, and how we need to just merge. And there were a lot of people who just did what they were supposed to do so that we today would be blessed to have their leftovers. Ooh. And that's exactly what's happening because, we're not doing anywhere near what they used to do back in the day, but you can't tell us we're not doing something. Everybody doing something. It's funny. God has put it on my heart and he has given me an assignment to just do some things. And it involves gathering people and pastors. One of the areas is gathering pastors. And all I keep hearing is, I'm busy. Now, they're not saying those exact words, but I hear, I'm busy. And I say to myself, busy doing what? And this world is in its shams. What you busy doing? I have a very small congregation. And they have more people than I do. And I'm trying to, and they have bigger churches, they have all kinds, and I'm trying to figure out what y'all doing. Everybody busy. Busy doing what? What are we doing? Are we doing what we're supposed to do? Would we have so many people who cared less about lives? Because that's what the fire hydrant law is about. It's about lives at the end of the day. Trying to save lives. Would we have so many people who would be so carefree about doing things that, or disobeying rules for their own self-satisfaction if we were doing what we were supposed to do in this world for lives? Would we? Would we? Really, really, really a sad state of affair when we have to talk about these particular things, and they're right before us, they're right in our faces. They're right in our face. And we still have to talk about these things because all we're doing is talking. Are we banding together to get these jobs done? So we have a list that says, hey, ladies, Black women, but like Shanti said, these are just women, period. Stop doing these things. Leave this stuff behind. This doom scrolling as a daily ritual. I never understood that. You know, I tell people all the time, people say, did you see my post? I'm like, I'm sorry. As much as you see me on this broadcast, as much as I have to do, I have no time for Facebook scrolling or internet scrolling. I go on, I post, and I'm off. I don't have the luxury of just kind of scrolling. I just don't have that kind of time. And I'm saying to myself, well, you want to be known for doing all of these things, and yet you got time to just scroll. I have seen this over and over and over again. I'm like, what is in this phone that is so interesting? Why is there a need to see what the world is doing and your own area is crashing? Why? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Something happening over in Kenya, something happening over in, Chicago, and you in New Jersey, and you all over the place, and you're not using that information to help you get your job done, then it's pointless. It's pointless. It's pointless. We talked about over-explaining boundaries. Why do I have to keep telling you that I can't do this and I shouldn't do that and I don't want to do this? And you know what? That's behind me. I don't have time for that anymore. Why do I have to keep saying it? Forget about women having to say it to men. Women who have to just say it to a child, and that could be adult children, or to their peers, or just explaining it to other people who should not even have to, this shouldn't even have to be explained to. Why am I constantly saying this stuff to people who should already be on this level? That's wasting my time already. That is wasting my time already. And I realize more and more how God needs to use me for other people's lives. That I have to kind of step away. There are things that I'd like to do, but if it means that I have to spend time for God's people doing this, then that's where I have to kind of park it. I shouldn't have to explain to you, because do you know how many, oh my gosh, must have been a week or so ago, I had someone call me with a fire. And at the same time, I had someone call me earlier that day who had a really bad health incident. And I had someone else call me with another crisis, a real crisis. And then I had someone call me with some fire. And I was like, why are you here? Why are you upset over that? That's not that's nothing. Just explain it and walk off. Plain and simple as that. But it was just, for some reason, it was just this huge issue. And I said to myself, I can't allow you to absorb my time in stuff like this. And I understand that it might be a crisis for you. But like I said, I just had real crisis. Someone with a crisis of life, with their health, and someone who had another crisis, just real stuff. And I'm like, we have to really assess and reassess what we're allowing to twist us up. There are so many other things. And don't be afraid. Let's talk about put stuff behind us. Do you realize that there are people, unless there is a fire, they're not happy? Yeah, unless there's a crisis, they're not happy. There are people like that keeps them fueled and moving. And I'm just not there in my life anymore, because God has me doing so many other things. And again, He has me paying attention to lives. I don't have time to create fires to keep me moving. We're getting older, and God is shaving back to make life easier. Work smarter, not harder. So these are some of the things we need to really put behind us, ladies. Again, having to explain why, I can't do this or I shouldn't do that. That shouldn't even be an issue. That should not be an issue for any of us. But I promise you one thing, and this is something we close with every day. If you give your life to God, do you realize how much of this stuff would shift? Because that's what I was actually thinking when the person was talking. I was saying to myself, if you allow God to fill in them blanks, if you were to actually give your life to God, these wouldn't be issues. These wouldn't be issues at all. You wouldn't have to create fires in order to keep you fueled and moving. That there would be some real things that you could bless someone with. Because this person is, they're filled with a wealth of information. And they could really be beneficial to God's people. But they don't feel they need God. They don't feel like, I have to go to church. I don't have to give God my life. And now you're in a cycle of creating fires so that you can be, feel fulfilled. At the same time telling you, I don't care. But yet you burn in my ear, my phone, and my time with stuff you don't care about. You do care. But you don't care about the right things. Let's put that behind us. Everybody. Let's make our life worth living. We don't have to go and get the BBLs like Vivian said. We don't have to stoop down to the next to the level before us. If God has, raised us to make people happy, we don't have to. We can get things done, as Lady Tamika said, and not feign this thing of work and busy. Give your life to God. If you really gave your life to God and you let go of the things that you should not be holding on to, and you pick up the things that God wants you and needs only you to do. Because see, let me help you with something. Only you can do the things that God has assigned you to do in your arena. They say that you are the average of the people that you are around. So in your circle, if there's 8 people in your circle, only you can do best what he has assigned you to do. He hasn't given everybody in that circle the same thing to do. So Mary's going to master this. Jane's going to master that. Shantice is going to master this. Vivian's going to master that. Lady Tamika's going to master that. Stephanie's going to master that. Everybody has their placement, and you need to make sure you find your placement. All of this stuff, all of what we talked about today brings us to that one thing. Are we doing what we're supposed to do? Are we on our own tangent, on our own lane, opposed to being on the lane of God? Because only what you do for Christ will last. Only the things that are designed by God are going to be the things that are going to be fulfilling in your own life, as well as you satisfying your actual placement here on earth, as well as you glorifying God. Only those things are really gonna matter. It has nothing to do with what you want to do. You're going to be spinning your wheels doing what you want to do, only to later possibly give your life to God and have to undo all that stuff. It's not going to matter. So why not get on the page of God now? Let him give you your assignment, and that way everything you do will be blessed. Everything you do will have its ultimate effect. You do not want to spend your time just working, only to get to a point and realize that you've done nothing in the grand scheme of things because you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing. We have kept our eye here, and it's supposed to be here, and now here is unattended. Here has gotten all our attention, and now we're not feeling fulfilled. And that's one of the things that most people complain about today. I just don't feel like I'm fulfilled, that I'm doing what, makes me happy. No, especially if you're out of alignment with God. If you're out of alignment with his plan for your life, you will forever feel unfulfilled. God is your Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. Whether you acknowledge it or not, that's who he is. He's not that if we want him to be. He is that because that's who he is. Now, when we are not in that realm, then we're not making nothing happen. We're not making anything happen. You can't do anything that is going to be satisfying. It's like sitting and eating a steak meal. You just spent $150 on this plate, and it's nothing at the end of the day. You still hungry. You didn't like the way any of it tastes. It was this much in portion, but you just spent $150 on this plate, and you expected to get like this meaty, satisfying meal, and you were starving when you sat down at the table. And now you're not getting anything. Is that the way you want to live your life? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? And all of these items today challenge us in asking us, are we doing what we're supposed to do? So let's make sure we're on the right track, okay? All right. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the ladies, for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us do what we do. Please do not miss this opportunity to give your life to Christ right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Please, if you have not already done so, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and make sure you share, make sure you comment, because we need those numbers to move. Thank you so much for those of you who are always on here, who always listen, who always support, who always check in. If you cannot watch, but you can listen, we are all over every streaming service out there. You can find us on Spreaker.com, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible.com, Amazon.com, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. Anywhere you can find streaming, It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Come on and hang out with us. Until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Therapeutic Thursday. Until then, I love